Alright, time for another draftphysics.com or debatephysics.com video presentation on YouTube, DraftScience. Anyway, so another Professor Dave, video, that'll be about, his controversy with Sabina Hassenfelder and how he's really just overstating, to try to project her into somebody who has any sympathy with pseudoscience or religious science or any of that crap is just bullshit. I mean, to say that there's some bad science in science is not an outrageous thing for some scientists to finally say, that they maybe have wasted a bunch of resources on super colliders and all kinds of other crap, and they haven't even tested 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast theory. They haven't dropped 4 pounds 1 foot and 1 pound 4 feet and proven that that's the same energy, even though a lever, a 1,000-year-old tool, says otherwise. I mean, that kind of thing. So she's at least making some sort of argument that it all seems like bullshit science to her, in the sense that none of this stuff has much theoretical substance. They're not searching for the blue LED, they're searching for neutrinos or some other kind of bullshit with these extraordinarily complex and theoretically nonsensical premises that they're going to find these silly things when there's so little chance that they have the technology to do it, but they spend billions of dollars on bullshit. I mean, that's a real argument to be made, that is in fact bullshit. A waste of money. A waste of resources, manpower, intellectual capital, all of that stuff, because it's not going to work. Now, I could argue that they can't even theoretically make much sense out of this whole idea of doing this, what the sun is doing, what they claim the sun is doing, which is it's making heavier atoms, and somehow making heavier atoms makes energy, when that's itself crap. So they're not going to make any fusion reactor that's ever going to produce anything, any substantial energy, because it's not really what's fueling the sun. Gravity is fueling the sun, not chemical reactions. So anyway, gravity's taking the most elemental thing there is, as in compressing it into objects that can be broken apart, not objects that are being. Compressing requires energy. Exploding is where you gain the energy. I mean, it's such a simple and obvious concept. And, anyway. So she's an asshole. Look, this is an argument between a shit sandwich and a giant douche. Pick which one. All right? They're both assholes. They're both arrogant, obnoxious, religious kooks, in my opinion. They're both pseudoscientists. They both don't give a shit about anything called real evidence. So they're both horrible, but his argument against her is so feeble and weak, to not argue that even the whole institution of science, the whole way it's taught, is bullshit. The fact that scientists can't... Look, if you had a kid, just be honest for a second. You had a kid, all right, and let's say he's 15 years old and or 13, and you're starting to think about, I got to put money aside for his college, 40, 50 grand a year, a couple $100,000. And then you just thought to yourself, said, wait a minute, maybe I could do better than that, right? Some idiot professor is going to teach this stuff for $40,000. The lectures are already online. I mean, all of them are already there. The textbooks are clearly purchasable. They're even online. So what's the issue here? Why am I going to send him away to do this? And he's just going to get caught up in football or some bullshit. He's going to waste a ton of time doing nonsense. He's going to go to all kinds of silly classes, gym class and shit, even though he don't. I mean, I found that offensive. When I was going to go to college and I had paid my deposit, I found out I had to take a gym class. And I was like, fuck you. I'm not. What do you mean? This is idiotic. I don't need your bullshit, I don't need any of this other crap. Don't tell me what I have to take as courses, you fuckers. I'm paying you. It was ridiculous. But anyway, and that was, it was a little ridiculous. My mother of all people, kind of liked the idea that I might play football at LSU. And it's like, I ain't paying to play football. is it's my money. Okay, yeah. But anyway, it's a whole side subject. But the fact that colleges, so I'm just saying, if you had a 13-year-old kid, what would you do with that $200,000? Well, I'll tell you what I would do. Is I'd tell the kid that, look, here's tests you have to pass. Okay, I'm going to give you the test. You have to pass the test. In the next 4 years, you're going to have to pass all these tests, right? And they're going to get 10,000 for this one, and 20,000 for this one, and 30,000 for this one, and 60,000. Yeah, I'm going to pay you to pass the fucking tests, and your total amount you can earn, I'll make it 150,000, so I get to save a little money. I'm sure he's going to pass the fucking tests. I'm sure I just did him a gigantic favor, okay, you know, and he's going to graduate from college before he graduates from high school. You know, that'd be the truth of it. So, I mean, the fact that you people can't do even any logic, you can't do any reasoning, you can't figure out how to do things better and more efficiently, I mean, the waste is obscene. And the fact that she even squeaks the word that, well, my science might be wasting a little bit of money. I mean, she barely squeaks the statement. When it's grotesque, the waste, gravitational waves. You haven't dropped 4 pounds 1 foot and 1 pound 4 feet, and you need to spend billions of dollars on a silly wave, detector. Who cares? I mean, what good is it? It's useless nonsense, and you can't even be sure it's good science. Do you really believe that, yeah, when two things crash into each other, their mass disappears and it turns into bent space? I mean, you think that's on solid theoretical ground? I mean, fuck you people. I mean, they're just so bad. So, I mean, it's just amazing that he's ridiculing her for this tiny little squeaking, that there might be some corruption in science. It might be kind of bullshit that Stanford made a whole bunch of money off of Google. You know, they were doing a little math experiment and they turned it into some commercial goddamn ruler of the internet. A draconian, awful, horrible force. Yeah, some of the science might suck that universities are financing. It might even be evil, like Google. A science project. Was that good science? Let's figure out how to create a monopoly. We'll give it away for free for 2 years and wipe everybody out. Okay, nobody can compete with us because we're going to give it away for free. All right, so we're going to wipe them all out and we'll be the ruler of the internet. That's good science? Yeah, fuck you, it's good science. Fuck you, that's what universities should be fucking financing. You fucking bastards. Defending the fucking institutions. The institutions have not done us well. Fuck you, defender of the institutions. And you know, she's hardly a big, she's hardly tearing down the roots. She's not knocking the Tower of Babel down. Ugh, she's part of the Babel. So anyway, so it deserves me responding, frankly. Okay, so I will, because this is just bullshit. So let's do it.
We now have to clarify some things. Let's get into it. Now, I'm used to science deniers watching little to none of a particular video only to yell at me in the comments section, but I've never seen...
So this is the same kind of asshole, right? That I say I have a simulation, I have this, I have that. They don't even look at it. I sent my simulation, that's exactly what Wolfram's talking about, some simple rules that create a complex behavior. It exactly fits with his theory. I send it to his people and they delete it in less than 24 hours. They won't look at it, they won't talk about it, they won't even acknowledge its existence because it's not consistent with their fucking dogma. And how is that different than the academic institutions? They're just as closed-minded, just as fucking their agenda.
Seen this behavior from so many academics. It really is appalling.
Yes, you're appalling. You're an appalling, duplicitous hypocrite.
Every single person who acted as though the theme of my video was academia is perfect, prompting them to...
So obviously that's not, the theme, but the point is that what overkill? A 40-minute video over the fact that you don't like her icons? Come on. Bullshit.
launch into novella-length rants about all the problems they've encountered.
I mean, all the fucking bullshit icons out there. The Veritasium, I mean, changes his icon every 3 days. It's all about clickbait. You're going to complain about clickbait? Well, then just make a clickbait video. Just to argue that, gee, this really sucks that the whole internet's turned into clickbait. Oh, but wait a minute. Some of your own videos are clickbait, aren't they? Your Hassenfelder video was clickbait.
In academia needs to go and take a long look in the mirror. Let me give you the brief version of what you all missed. This. Thumbnails that say, "I don't trust science."
And it's not, and again, it's, yes, everybody's guilty of this clickbait. She clearly doesn't say that in the video, but she has clearly already pointed out that she has been disappointed in the fact that she reads papers and they're nonsense. That some, that people involved in even global warming are overstating or understating or perverting the evidence, and this is all not a good thing. Okay, that the fact is that a lot of incredible science has been lifted and elevated to it's a fact when it wasn't even close to a fact. Let's go back to NASA and the arsenic bullshit. The arsenic life form. I mean, there's all this exaggeration and overt, just complete lying about what the hell their physics is actually doing. I mean, this stuff about fusion is all bullshit. Oh yeah, we gained more energy than we put in. Well, it's a lie. Okay, because it took them more, their laser beam is so inefficient that it's losing 70% of its energy. It was never even converted into light hitting the thing in the first place. So yeah, they got more than the photons they actually produced, but it's so little by comparison to how much energy they lost in the inefficiency of creating the laser beam in the first place. So it's just lies and deception.
That's the problem with Sabina. Incredibly unprofessional.
It's incredibly professional to point out that, well, does it really make sense that two black holes collide? They have a certain solar mass of 80 total, let's say, and that 5 solar masses disappear and turn into bent space. Is it possible that could be nonsense as a theory? I mean, come on. This is just such bullshit when the environment is full of all of these insanely exaggerated claims. And look, even the stuff you have accepted, the stuff that she accepts, entanglement. What the fuck are you talking about? At least she points out that this measurement problem is a real problem, and the fact that, how do you avoid being measured? Where do you go in the universe where the ruler can't find you?
Damaging clickbait thumbnails like this, and statements like this.
Most of academic research that your taxes pay for is...
Yes, and she just says it. What, isn't it? Dark matter, dark energy, neutrinos, gravitational. It's all bullshit. I mean, where is a university actually making something that isn't extraordinarily bizarre in terms of what they claim this thing can do?
It's almost certainly bullshit.
That's a ridiculous and totally indefensible statement.
Well, it's completely defensible. Look where the money goes. Take the money given by the National Science Foundation and explain to me where $1 million was spent well. Just even 1 million.
That fuels science denial. What's that? Oh, Dave chopped out a bunch of super important context? No, I didn't. This is what I played in my video that so many of you didn't watch.
Right. There's nothing. These little tiny clips, little tiny statements that are always qualified by the rest of the crap she says where she's totally defending all kinds of silly research.
But I knew it was bullshit, just as most of the work in that area is currently bullshit.
So she was actually experienced it. I mean, she actually worked in this field trying to contrive some purpose to doing some mathematical thing to try to create some sort of quantum gravity bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And she found that, what are we doing this? This is circular mathematics. This doesn't have any credibility. And she's disappointed that, this is what you get as a job. Something completely silly.
And just as most of academic research that your taxes pay for is almost certainly bullshit.
So she played it twice. So he plays it twice. This is like a Thunderfoot tactic. I'll just keep playing the same clip over and over and over and over and over and over. And somehow that's so much better than clickbait. that's such a much more that tactic of playing the same clip over and over and over. That's not any worse than, or that's somehow so much superior to clickbait. No, it isn't. Bullshit icons and bullshit replay the same shit over and over again is the same thing. It sucks.
The work in a particular area, followed by an additional statement about academic research in general. She is talking about all academic research, including all the fields.
She just said most, so we know what her words are. Okay, so bullshit. Just keep calling bullshit on this bullshit. But again, show me the where the money is being spent really well. Give me the list of the really great projects that are being worked on in universities.
Which aren't physics that she knows absolutely nothing about. So no, she is not exclusively talking about theoretical physics. She can insist that's what she meant in...
Oh, well, come on. She does physics videos. Is somebody really fooled that she's an expert on sewing? You know, professional sewing colleges and college, you know what I'm saying, some engineering school. We know she wasn't talking about that. You know, come on, get real. And we know that, look, the core science is physics. That's the core of everything else. Chemistry, everything else is built on that foundation. So if you screw up the physics foundations, you're going to screw up all the other shit.
Retrospect, but it's not what she said. She's lying. So I'm sorry, there is nothing for science deniers to misinterpret. All of the hundreds of you who complained about how it's...
So this is so petty. So he's going based on the, oh, her statement could have been meant to say that every single bit of research on viruses is bullshit. You know, every bit of genetic research on some disease is bullshit. She didn't say that.
Not her fault if science deniers twist her words in zany ways. You can kindly eat your own words. They are twisting nothing. She tells science deniers exactly what they want to hear.
I mean, it's just amazing. Her videos are constantly defending Einstein, constantly defending wooey physics, bullshit theories. How the fuck could she be? How could any science denier find any sympathy in her? She's not tearing down the Babel. She's building the Babel. She's supporting the Babel engine just as much as you are. It's just that it's a different kind of Babel. She has her preferential dogma, and you have your preferential dogma.
Which is why they've begun watching her videos in huge numbers, which is why she continues catering to them. That's the problem with Sabina as of late, and that's...
So that's a newer accusation that somehow she's catering her content to science deniers, okay? Again, it seems a real stretch. Now, the fact that she's doing the icons and the rest of the bullshit to generate revenue and views, yeah, she's guilty of, like everyone else, like Veritasium, like you. But Veritasium's video talking about life on another planet, when all they're going to do is take a probe there to see if there's actually liquid water. It's not going to demonstrate whether there's life anywhere or anything. It's not going to have anything to do with that. I mean, it's just a bullshit.
That's what I was talking about in the video you didn't watch. Because so many people felt compelled to rant exclusively about academia, we're going to talk about academia in a moment, as I said very little about it in my previous video. But it seems that I have to...
No, you made an overt statement that somehow it's working really well. Science is doing great. All of this bullshit talk about Higgs bosons and this nonsense is really great. I mean, it's made everybody's life so great. Those billions of dollars couldn't be spent on anything better than pointless, silly nonsense.
Summarize an entire video in the first 2 minutes, or most people won't even hear it. So allow me to do that up top this time. The issue is not that Sabina brings up valid criticisms of academia, and if you don't like it, then too bad for you. The issue is that she deliberately distorts these narratives to...
She's asking the question here, is science dying, right? So yes, she has some fear that science is caught up doing stuff that won't resolve anything. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't answer any questions that need answering. You really do need to focus on answering the more fundamental questions and resolving the more fundamental problems in physics. These abstract, silly crap is just that, silly crap. I mean, she's made some tiny criticisms of quantum computing, but they're tiny again, and she hasn't gotten to the core that the whole thing is bullshit in the first place. What the fuck are you talking about, a qubit? What are you talking about? Some kind of bit that knows the answer ahead of time? I mean, it's that ridiculous in a sense that somehow you don't have to do the math. That you just ask the qubit and it already has the right answer built in.
Provide outrageous takes disparaging the entire scientific community and the entire output of science.
Yes, well, and it's demonstrated by the rhetoric. Again, string theory is nothing. It's an incoherent pile of nonsense, and yet it's been elevated by scientists into some kind of thing worthy of a conversation, when it's not worthy of anything. The holographic principle, come on, another one by what's his face, Susskind. I mean, he does create nonsense. I mean, he's the string theorist in this holographic universe crap, information conservation. What a pile of shit.
That is what I was describing when I said anti-establishment narratives. It doesn't mean anyone who challenges any institution in any way. It means people who say things like, science is dying, and don't trust scientists.
So what should she say? She should write a whole paragraph and qualify her statement that, well, I don't really think the science is very credible. I think the theories are very thin. I think the whole thing is quite unevidenced. But I like science and I like scientists, but yeah, I think they're really misdirected, and I think whoever's controlling the agenda, their agenda sucks, because they're not dropping 4 pounds 1 foot and 1 pound 4 feet, and that's the fucking experiment they should be doing. They should be crashing cars at all kinds of speeds and seeing if kinetic energy actually does show itself somewhere. They should try to make a ballistic pendulum that can collect more than 0.06% of the kinetic energy. That's what they should be doing. Now, she didn't say any of that, but obviously that's kind of what she's saying, except she's saying it comparing Muslim to Christian instead of comparing Muslim to Darwin. Everything should be compared to Darwin.
Which pushes the
Darwin is science. All the other shit is garbage.
General public towards blanket science denial. People with an anti-establishment bias are very easy to manipulate because any fraud can just say...
And we know none of this is in any way significant. So whatever you're talking about, right? I mean, the number of people who fall into this stuff and their intelligent level, okay? The fact is there's a ton of ignorant people on the planet, and religion is the biggest misconceived pile of nonsense, the more dangerous theory. So flat Earth isn't very dangerous.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments.
What's the danger of flat Earth? What's the big threat from the flat earthers? Did I make a huge mistake here? Well, I'll have to find out. Clicked on something. So what's the bigger threat? Flat Earth turned into God, or flat earthers who still believe in evolution? How is a flat Earth and an evolutionist a dangerous thing? All right, doesn't make any difference. It's like somebody denying the Big Bang and all that crap. Does it really make a goddamn difference? Is that a threat? No, the threat is when they convert their denial into an excuse to believe some religious fable. So again, it's just about religion. We know the motivation of all these people is to somehow support some kind of wacky, spiritual, gaudy theory, and it has nothing to do with a criticism of science. They're not denying the science because they think the science is bullshit. They're denying the science because they think the God theory needs to be defended. So it's the same adversary coming from the same origin. It is not scientifically minded people who are converting into flat earthers. It's people who have some other wacky theoretical notion of reality, trying to defend it by just knocking down what's established because they want to replace it with their fucking hoobie theory. So you're not even recognizing the real threat. And the real threat has always been faith. and faith in silly, God-bothery stories. Wooey shit about creation. Alright, think I'm back. Miss me? I guess probably not, but anyway. So continuing. So yeah, the point is that they're all in it for the money. It's not about the science anyway. And I don't think she's tailing her content to flat earthers or whatever the science denial is, the agenda of it. The bottom line is the agenda is always, in my opinion, like 99% of the agenda is some sort of people with God theories, and they don't like evolution and they don't like science for that reason. So they're trying to defeat evolution by defeating science in general. And it's just not going to work. So it's only going to work on people that are too stupid to bother with anyway. I mean, they really are too stupid to even try to preserve or reclamate. So just write that segment off and hope you can build an army out of the ones with an above 14 IQ.
Oh, you didn't watch. Because so many people felt compelled to rant exclusively about academia, we're going to talk about academia in a moment, as I said very little about it in my previous video. But it seems that I have to summarize an entire video in the first 2 minutes.
The whole video should have been just summarized as you saying, gee, I wish she wouldn't do that thumbnail thing, and I wish she wouldn't like overstate the point and just point out how, yeah, science is getting a little silly and there's no real mechanism to reform it. Because the people in charge really don't know what they're talking about. They really aren't scientists in charge. They're political people.
Or most people won't even hear it, so allow me to do that up top this time. The issue is not that Sabina brings up
Well, you could say they are scientists, but they're scientists in the Feynman tradition, where they believe a bunch of wooey nonsense. They believe they can borrow energy from the future. I mean, all kinds of crap.
Valid criticisms of academia, and if you don't like it, then too bad for you. The issue is that she deliberately distorts these narratives to provide outrageous takes disparaging the entire scientific community. And
Alright, so whatever. It's obviously not the entire scientific community, all of that crap. I'm sure she has people she knows in science who she likes and people she don't like. It's that simple. She kind of pointed that out.
The entire output of science. That is what I was describing when I said anti-establishment narratives. It doesn't mean anyone who challenges any institution in any way.
Look, you already did this Davy and Goliath thing in the previous video, implying that every dissident is an asshole or an idiot, and you already conceded, oh no, it's not like that, but you really do treat it all like that. You can't make any separation from people who are legitimately arguing your science is unfounded religious nonsense from people who want to replace it with another religion.
It means people who say things like, science is dying, and don't trust scientists, which pushes the general public towards blanket.
So you're just doing the same thing. You're saying it over and over and over like you're going to brainwash people because you say it more than one time.
Science denial. People with an anti-establishment bias are very easy to manipulate because any fraud can just say government.
Right, so what's the point? If they're very easy to manipulate, you could just argue you manipulate them with your silly graphics, all of these science videos with all of the special effects and all the other crap that doesn't have anything to do with reality. I mean, again, the very idea that there's any honest description of the two-slit experiment on YouTube somewhere, is there some documentary or some physics presenter who has actually done justice to the experiment? No! That's an absolute fact, Dave. I mean, comparing it to water waves, do they bounce one ball in the water and show that they're just round waves coming off and there's no interference? Unlike in the single slit with photons, there's a ton of interference. So I guess it's nothing like it.
Bad or university bad, followed by any ridiculous lie they want, and people prone to this narrative will believe them. When Sabina uses this rhetoric, she is pushing people.
It's real world bad. I mean, frankly, like I said, if it was, yeah. I mean, I did live through that period where it becomes marginal whether you're going to get what you're paying for going to college, because most of it's going to be fucking silly shit. You're paying to waste money, not paying to learn.
In that direction and making them more receptive to lies and conspiracy theories. This is how you get people who reject literally all science-based medicine in favor of snake oil and charlatans. It's how you get...
Right, and fine. And how are you going to stop that from happening anyway, right? Because they're never going to they're never going to graduate to a truth. The truth isn't what they want to hear. They want to blame the Fed. They want to blame they printed the money, when, man, technically they haven't printed cash, not in an extraordinary amount. I mean, so those people don't care about the truth.
Anti-vaxxers that exacerbate a pandemic despite the mountain of science demonstrating the safety and efficacy of vaccines.
So again, you can say there's evidence demonstrating the safety when, well, there's still a risk. It's just a fact. Now, the fact is, the only way you can stop the disease is to impose the risk. But it's still a risk. It's like saying most soldiers don't get killed in the war. Yeah, but so what? Most don't get killed, but that still doesn't mean you're not going to get killed. So it's still a real threat. You shouldn't say, well, it's not as if, okay? So I guess you could make some comparison, between going to war and... working on high-rise buildings or something, some job that has a high capacity to hurt you. But whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's how you get hurricane victims open firing on FEMA workers who they believe helped manufacture the hurricanes.
So again, how many people is this really? So you're going to point out because one lunatic does something? So wait, we're going to make a policy based on Hinckleyism or something? Well, Hinckley was turned on by a woman, so I guess we have to put them all back in burqas, right? Because they'll go shoot presidents because they're horny. Is that your theory? Horny men do bad things, therefore we have to put women in burqas. Is that your logic? Sounds like it's your logic.
Generally speaking, in America, only 54% of the public believes climate change is a problem. Forget people.
Right, and it's because it's just because the scientists have been sloppy. If their evidence was pristine, if they actually showed up and said, "Look, carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas," well, technically it's a really weak greenhouse gas, and it's really the little tiny rise in temperature though means that the atmosphere holds more humidity, more water, and the water is a really powerful greenhouse gas, the water vapor. But but little things like that. So the fact is their science is a little bit sloppy, and if it wasn't so damn sloppy, then there wouldn't be this opportunity to deny it. But obviously you could understand why they're denying it, because there's huge economic stakes involved, and it's all caught up in a bunch of politics. The pro-oil, we have an infinite supply of it, it's not a problem, Republican agenda.
People who reject the efficacy of vaccines, there is a growing population who believe viruses are not real. This is the audience that largely consumes this content.
And again, if they're that fucking stupid, they're not even watching Sabine Hassenfelder videos. So get real. How much do they understand about anything physical in the universe if they're believing that kind of crap?
From Sabina, and she is throwing fuel on the fire that is consuming their ability to accept basic logic, professional expertise, and scientific.
This is just such bullshit. So if I as a Democrat point out that the Democratic Party has lost its mission statement, okay, by placating to all kinds of these, whatever you want to call them, these teardrops. All kinds of people with special interests, special agendas, and they've lost all sight of the real agenda, which is to create some sort of mechanisms of fairness in the economy. And they don't even have that as a clue anymore. They think fairness is, I have to pay for somebody else's pregnancy, some kind of bullshit like that. So they've lost the agenda entirely.
Consensus. This is how we get politicians voted into office with fascist leanings. This is how the slide down.
So none of that, all of that happens because the liberals talked a lot of shit. and they do crazy things. Somebody goes whack somebody in the head with a hammer on a subway, and some liberal judge says, no, you don't need any bail, and show up if you want to. I don't care. I mean, it's not like you committed a crime. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, you're telling me that the liberals didn't ask for the huge smackdown when they were doing things that are so fucking stupid and ludicrous? I mean, they really did just set it up to say, God, is that what you really stand for? You stand for shoplifting? You're the great party defending shoplifters? Well, fuck you in the ass. Okay, you're too stupid. I can't be a member of your club. They didn't win the argument. You lost the argument, jackass. And science loses the argument when they talk about quantum computers and string theory and wormholes and neutrinos and all that dark matter. They lose their own credibility.
On the slippery slope towards theocracy gains momentum. This is how we get people trying.
Oh, bullshit. So again, that's not the problem. You're ruining science with this gobbledygook. It's the gobbledygook that turns people off, and they're saying it's just another fucking religion. You're not making your science, you're not distinguishing it from nonsense. And so the only theory, like I said, Darwin's still pretty good, but there's still, you even have biologists now who are trying to shake that foundation and trying to knock it down. You have scientists trying to do that. Whose fault is that? You have people, you have surgeons who don't believe in evolution. How is that possible? How do they pass the test and have such a silly notion in their head?
Trying to force religion into public schools and into federal laws. With Trump returning to office, he may...
Oh, it's Sabina's fault. Oh, okay. It's not silly liberalism. I mean just fucking silly, waste, preposterous, favoritisms, and like I said, all the special interest core shit. And especially somehow being a foreigner is a special interest. Somehow they have more rights than regular citizens. Regular citizens go to jail when they break the law. Regular citizens have to pay huge fines when they have a traffic violation. How come these people get off with nothing?
Follow through with his promise to put RFK in charge of the Department of Health. RFK, an anti-vaxxer who has said that chemicals in the environment can turn kids gay and trans, and that HIV does not...
Right, and he ran as a Democrat. Does that make sense to you? No, it doesn't make sense to me.
Cause AIDS, may soon be in charge of the FDA, NIH, USDA, and CDC. Are you listening to me?
And so all of this rhetoric, he's bringing up now he's going to even show Nazis and the rest of this stuff, and he's saying somehow Sabina has encouraged them, gave them great power. They'll be holding up signs that say, "Go, Sabina, go. Tear down all of this nonsense." I don't think so, fucktard. I mean, this is such a bullshit tactic. I mean, the Hitler card. Here it is, just boldly Hitler card. I mean, fuck you. What a hypocrite. I mean, this is such a garbage video. I mean, he's doubling down on this excessive crap.
This is the battleground we face in society at the moment.
And you're not going to win it, okay, by claiming that anybody who criticizes your science or criticizes your politicians or says, I'm not voting for a Democrat if they're going to be pro-shoplifter, okay? Sorry. I can't go there. That's just too fucking stupid.
This is the culture war that is shaping the future, certainly for America, but also in other nations where populism and fascism is rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, the extremes on both sides, and that's the problem. The fucking teardroppers who think they're entitled to everything, and the fucking draconian bootstrappers who think nobody's entitled to anything, that they're entitled to it all. They inherited it, they earned it, that's the way they think about it. Inheritance is earning.
One of which is Germany, by the way. As a global society, we are sliding towards idiocracy, and our survival as a...
Yeah, and you're part of the idiocracy. So, again, there's just no denying that the idiocracy is on both sides. These candidates are shit paper on both sides. All right, there was a giant douche and a shit sandwich. I mean, this is garbage. Nobody should be voting for either one of these idiots. It's never been this bad.
The species is at stake. Sabina feeds people narratives that are conducive to those modes of thought.
I just don't believe that. Okay, so he hasn't really shown any correlation between any fascism, any movement, any real political movement, and Sabina Hassenfelder. No correlation whatsoever, because she isn't an anti-vaxxer, and she isn't this, and she isn't that, and she isn't any of that crap. So this is all just such bullshit.
And in doing so, she is pushing them further down the pseudoscience pipeline, where they are more likely to be ensnared by actual...
All right, so this video is just going to go on and on and on, and he's just going to keep saying things that he has no evidence for, that she was guilty of, facilitating. Like she opened some door and they walked through. Where's the evidence of that?
Demagogues and charlatans. And it's not because they're too uneducated to hear the nuance. It's because there is no nuance.
Oh, fuck you. So again, it's just idiotic. She is so caught up in bullshit theory. The standard model. She has her little Einstein doll right next to her there. She just can't help defending Einstein. So bullshit. She's some sort of person who's one of these anti-people. Fuck you. It's just a bullshit accusation. She's an idiot. She's a different idiot than you, but that's it. It's just a tiny difference.
Choice of language is exactly what these people want to hear. They hear, "Don't trust scientists," because she literally says that.
Right, and it's not an invalid thing to say because the science has gotten wooey and silly. And that is an absolute fact. She experienced it. She couldn't find a job in science that had credibility. She couldn't find a project where she could get a job where she could feel like, hey, we're really doing something rational and sensible. That's her personal experience, and she's the right to say it. And to say, yeah, they just wanted to hire me to calculate something retarded and stupid. And I got tired of trying to do that.
And they react to it by baselessly rejecting anything any scientist says, just like they were told to do. If you're an academic and you can't understand that, then you need to check your privilege and open your eyes a little bit. You may have the education that allows you to ignore this polarizing...
So this whole idea of whatever an education is, you mean indoctrination. So it's just, these are people, the academics are no better than the Catholicism and its catechisms and its rituals and its dogma. It's just the same goddamn thing. It's just training people to be believers, not training people to understand why and how they should believe. To understand how you should you should do reasoning based on evidence, and you should be persuaded by evidence, not because they say so. It's just so bad. All right, I don't know. This seems like enough. Yeah, I'm not going to waste my day watching this asshole just redundantly keep saying the same shit over and over. Let's just jump ahead and we'll see if it just keeps making the same argument over and over.
Been made and is still available for those who didn't watch the whole thing. So let's now address the disgruntled academics regarding what they erroneously thought the video was about, the particulars of academia, because that's another totally separate...
Yeah, well, whatever, but that was part of the whole argument. It's what finances them, that it's all about writing papers, it's all about persuading some political figure to give you money to research some nonsense, and demonstrating somehow that you're going to find this nonsense.
Literature is no exception, but this does not invalidate the scientific community as a whole.
Well, it does if the money corrupts, and the money is clearly corrupting the science. It's driving the science. It's not the other way around. The science isn't saying, let's spend money to go find something out. The science is saying, what can you do to sell it? Okay, where I'll look like I did the right thing by financing this nonsense. Can you make a big, huge thing about a God particle, and we'll go search for the God particle, and we can make a whole silly narrative about how we actually accomplished something so we could justify spending billions of dollars on it?
states there are incentives in journalism to emphasize failures rather than success. Fixating on failure and crisis drives the selection of certain narratives and headlines. This is what we see in the publication world, as well as with some self-employed YouTubers. The unintended result is a devaluing of...
Oh, again, so the unintended result. You're not allowed any criticism. You're going to pervert into some sort of catastrophe that led to this disaster. So as soon as I point out how, Kamala Harris doesn't have any goddamn fucking... There's nothing she's done that merits her being a president of the United States. That means that somehow I'm pro-Trump. And no, he hasn't done anything either. Let's just talk the truth about both candidates. Let's not just talk truth about one.
But I'm afraid that the problem also befalls other disciplines. It's a failure of science to self-correct. Science is failing.
You're right, and exactly. And self-correct means you have to open conversation, and there is no open conversation regarding anything. Again, they'll assert to you, they'll tell you it takes 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. They have no evidence for it, no proof of it, and yet they'll just assert. If you don't believe it, you're a science denier. That's their assertion. I have to believe it's 9.8 meters per second squared, whatever the fuck that means. Why do I need to square the second? It's 9.8 meters per second. That's the increase you get per 1 second. What's a squared second doing in there?
Science rhetoric you push.
The reason this worries me so much is that I think this is a systemic problem caused by the way we organize academic research. This means it can...
Yes, it's all commercial. Again, it's all a commercial enterprise. It's all about money and driving interest. It's all like selling football or something. That's the bullshit of it. It's not about the science itself.
Diagram for you, but since you and your fans are so smart, you should be able to grasp this simple concept without any visual aids. And I was quite generous in not calling you out for the hatchet jobs you did on trans issues, capitalism, and other topics that are way outside of your expertise. I avoided doing that because I was being charitable.
Oh, brother.
The latter is a tiny subset of the former. I can make...
So he's saying theoretical physics is a tiny subset of science. And clearly it's not in terms of who gets seen and who gets to talk about what science is. So clearly it's exactly the opposite. The theoretical physicists are all over the goddamn place talking about what science is, and you don't even see any of the guys making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So you can talk about it. The guys doing the recipes are getting all the interest. The guys, making salad, no, not so much. And again, what she was critiquing is the stuff that's the driver, and the driver is the theoretical crap. I mean, you don't go to the Science Foundation and ask for the money because you're going to make, a steam engine, that's twice as efficient or something. You're not going to get the money. You're going to have to give them some speculation about how, well, maybe it'll lead to a death ray. Yeah, we can make a death ray.
Sabina, make a video about how we shouldn't build another particle accelerator. I might even...
She has.
Agree with you. Make a video about problems with scientific publishing, as you
She did. This is just such bullshit. Oh, brother. So, she needs your fucking advice, jackass. Her channel's growing. She's probably passing you now in terms of actual view numbers. So, she doesn't need your advice, obviously. Jackass. Well, what a douche.
just saw, I agree with that too. Make a pointed and informed criticism about whatever you want.
And she did, and she pointed out how, look, you can't even find a place to work in science that makes any sense because all of the money is going to crap. It's bullshit, 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 bullshit. Nobody's doing any science that has something to do with this planet and living on it. It's all this waste on fucking, wave of neutrino, antimatter. Oh, fuck, I didn't even mention antimatter. The search for antimatter. Oh, please. I mean, this is like the search for a pleasant-smelling anus. I mean, it ain't going to be found. Come on.
That's what she is doing with this particular type of content, which again is only a small portion of her output. There is no problem with her content popularizing science.
Right. So exactly. So it's only a tiny squeak she's making about how, well, science isn't perfect. It's kind of corrupt, kind of broken. Blah, 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 blah. Tiny little squeak. And the rest of her videos are promoting this crap with her stupid little fucking Einstein bobblehead, telling us how we have to believe, and oh, it's such the truth, and oh, it's so proven. Oh, fuck you. It's just so fucking stupid, this whole fake drama. So that's all he's doing. He's creating a fake drama. He'll get a bunch of views out of it, pretend the controversy hurt his little feelings somehow. Bullshit, it did. It's all money. Cha-ching, cha-ching. You're doing the same damn thing. You're cha-ching, cha-chinging on all of this crap. You frickin' hypocrite. All right. So, enough of a video. You just gotta hate this planet. It's all just douche sandwich. Yeah, that's what it is.